So, I have a true honor and pleasure now of talking to not only one half, but now both members of the Rundown podcast, Rundown Show, or Rundown Podcast.
The rundown show, rundown podcast.
Yeah, the Rundown Show. So I have Kayson and Rich here. I'm gonna have them talk a little about how they started, why they started, and yeah.
You want me to take it? Or?
Yeah,
Rich, you start off.
Yeah, we heard from Kayson last time. Now it's up to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know Kayson kind of got into it a little bit. Well, I've actually known Kayson and his family literally forever. My dad grew up with his whole family, so that's how me and him met. It's kind of full circle stuff because I didn't even know that he was on the journey that he was on, and it just so happened I was kind of on the same path. So it's like I said, that's full circle stuff. When you got two people whose families came up together, you kind of grew up together a little bit and end up doing similar things. I had actually been doing a different podcast at the time. I believe Kayson told you, going under a different alias. I don't want to get into
a little bit on it.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it too much and incriminate myself because we were doing a lot of crazy stuff on there. But yeah, I was doing a different podcast at the time. Kayson, whenever he would come back from school, would come through as like a guest, and then there was a period of time where my co-host wasn't coming on anymore because he was a little too busy. So Kayson kind of became like my guest co-host, and after a while, I was just thinking about it, and at the time, neither of us had internships. You know, you need some type of experience to get into the workforce in this field, so we talked about starting a whole new podcast, kind of as a way to show ourselves with some type of work that we were doing. So we came up with it, spitballing the different names. Got another friend from Brentwood that I grew up with, Robert Harris, who does his own graphic designing. Got in touch with him. He did the logo and like the animation for the show for us, and then we kind of got started after that, and it's been kicking off ever since.
Yeah, it's awesome to see like two home guys, from Brentwood, it's just genuinely talking about, how they feel about the sports, arguing a little bit, like getting true reactions, not like just for the views, like seeing you guys, like not like something you see in like Sports Center where it's obviously we talked about it last time in Kayson where it's like you have to do it for the views and the arguments. So you guys are actually spitting your true point of views on like where you guys feel on certain topics. And me and Kayson were just talking about a certain topic before, and that topic would be KD and the Brooklyn Nets being eliminated, but also KD's having Blake Griffin, and still there was still plenty of talent around him that they could have won.
So I'm guessing you don't agree with Kayson.
I do not agree with Kayson. I am on your side with this one.
All right. Yeah, I don't know Kayson. There's certain players that Kayson doesn't have belief in that, I just don't understand why. We definitely talked about Blake Griffin.
You gotta have some type of faith in Blake Griffin. Come on, you get
Blake, yeah,
some type of faith.
We've talked about Blake Griffin a couple times on the show, and I think Kayson's lack of belief in, not that I think, I know his lack of belief in Blake Griffin comes from his time in Detroit. I just mentioned the fact that he dealt with a lot of injuries in Detroit, and Kayson has presented arguments when it comes to the Detroit organization that kind of goes against his arguments for Blake Griffin, as far as nobody really wants to play in Detroit right now. So you can't expect the best performances from somebody who doesn't want to be there.
I mean, to my point right now, if you look at it, I'm right. Like, you guys are digging up Blake Griffin, and he didn't do anything. If you really want to talk about it, so like my lack of faith in him comes from he's just not that player no more. I guess he's like a solid role player if that's how you want to look at him. But that's kind of what he is right now. And as you can see throughout that series, especially towards the end, he couldn't really do too much for him. He's obviously improved his jump shot. He still can dunk, which he fooled people in Detroit that he couldn't dunk no more. But I just think when it comes down to it, he wasn't going to help them get over the top. Not right now.
Well, I think the biggest issue with that too is coaching. I don't think Steve Nash did the greatest coaching in these playoffs and utilizing Blake Griffin to his strengths. Because one of the things that I talked about when they made that trade, I know you know this, was what he brings to them. He's a very good facilitator. I argued that he's actually a bit of a better player now than he was during his time with the LA Clippers, because he was more of a post player and just bringing it up to the rack and dunking all the time. Whereas now he improved his perimeter shot, and if you needed him to shoot threes for you, he can do that.
I don't think they trusted him enough this time around though. Whenever he actually was open, for a shot, they would just he was blatantly ignored. I feel like he was the ball was going purposely more towards KD for a certain.
I think that's what I mean. You got a rookie head coach in place. I think that they were kind of hoping KD was going to play hero ball and save him, and that's kind of what it looked like.
It kind of did happen though. The guy dropped over 60 points.
Yeah, but it ultimately it wasn't enough to get you the series win.
True.
I mean, sometimes a coach would tell you you're open for a reason. And if you see Blake Griffin that open, he might be open for a reason. The Bucks decided to go with, we're going to let Blake Griffin kill us. If he's going to hit 8 3-pointers, 10 3-pointers in the game and we lose, sometimes you just got to shake the man's hand, say good game, and you guys got us tonight. But we're going to live with him shooting these threes. And eventually, he's not going to take all those threes. So he might take 1 or 2, but being the player that he is, he knows eventually that, all right, I'm settling. So when he gets to taking 10 3-pointers in the game, like, Blake Griffin shouldn't be taking 10 3-pointers in the game. So eventually he's going to be like, all right, I got to drive, I got to attack, I got to do something. And teams figure you can just get back. So they're going to leave him open. So sometimes you're open for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. I do want to switch the train to a quick congratulations to CP, because he's finally in the finals after a lengthy career. He's finally getting a chance to be eligible to chance for that chase for gold, for official gold.
Yeah, definitely. I would want to say, definitely shout out CP and everything he's been through, all the places he's been. And I remember when people saying that he could never make it to a conference finals. I remember when people say he'll never make it to a finals. So to see everything he's overcame and to be able to make it this far, he definitely deserves a lot of credit. And even if he doesn't win it, I think this is going to be one of those situations where he's kind of solidified by just making it this far. There's some players who like Allen Iverson doesn't have a championship, but him bringing that 2001 76ers team to the finals kind of solidifies him. I don't want to say the same thing for Westbrook, but in the same cases, Westbrook goes down with no ring. That one finals that they were able to get to is going to be brought up a lot. So sometimes some players just getting there is going to solidify you enough. And I think CP, even if they don't end up winning it, him getting the Phoenix Suns there definitely solidifies him.
I mean, yeah, his career, I think I've always felt like his career was always solidified with just what he was able to do with, the teams that he was on. I mean, every team that he's been on in the NBA, he's taken them from mediocrity to a high point. He was a lottery pick for a reason. The New Orleans team was not a good team and brings them to the playoffs first year in the league. Goes to the Clippers when the Clippers were a laughing stock. That's all the LA Clippers were. The entire history of their organization in LA was laughing stock. I think they've been in the playoffs maybe 1 or 2 times as like a low tier seed, went out first round, but that was about it. And I mean, for a period of time when he got there, he turned them into title contenders, even though they never got to a conference finals. We were always talking about the LA Clippers as title contenders. Goes to Houston, helps get them to a conference finals. Ultimately, he wasn't there to help get at the end to help get them that push because of his hamstring. But he does that. Goes to Oklahoma City. They're supposed to be a lottery team. He brings them to the playoffs. And now he goes to a Phoenix team where there's literally no playoff experience, a bunch of young guys, and helps lead them to an NBA Finals. I mean, I seen Kendrick Perkins talking about it today, and I got to agree with it when he said his finals run is one of the greatest of all time. And it's really true because of what was just brought up. There's no real playoff experience on that team. You got a bunch of young guys, nice talent, but, when you got a bunch of young guys with no playoff experience, you're not expected to make a run like that. And that just goes to the type of player that Chris Paul is and what he brings to an organization whenever he's going to be plugged in there. And don't get me wrong, like you got guys, obviously you got vets on that team, but the core of that team, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, can't forget Devin Booker, they've never been in the playoffs. Ayton and Mikal Bridges have only been in the league about 2-3 years now. So
they're still it's a fairly young team. So the fact that they're being led to the finals with CP here, I feel like this could be now a chance for them to do something again next year as well. You know, they now have a chance to, they've established this chemistry, and hopefully now after the team stays as a unit next year, they'll be able to run this back again.
They'll definitely be a force. I think that with the league going back to a more set schedule that everyone's used to, things will probably look a little bit differently with as far as the injuries go, because this is a postseason where there was a ton of injuries that definitely affected how things ended up going.
Yeah, the short season also.
Yeah. And then you got teams like the Warriors that are getting guys back like Klay Thompson and things of that nature, but they'll definitely be in it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree. And when I say CP was solidified, I mean, I kind of meant more so in barbershop talk. To Rich's point, like his career is kind of solidified before, but now when you think about barbershop talks, they're like, well, CP dragged these Phoenix Suns to the finals. Well, not dragged them, but he helped them get there. And to a lot of points that Rich was saying, like he changed the culture and he did different things like that. So it solidified him when it comes to that championship ring kind of talk, like I was saying. But to the point you guys were just saying, yeah, but I agree kind of more with Rich. When things get kind of back to normal, the Phoenix, not the Phoenix Suns, the LA Lakers, the Brooklyn Nets, the teams that dealt with injuries, they're going to be back. So I'm looking at the kind of how it is right now in the playoffs, and some of these teams need to win it right now because I don't know how much the chances are going to be going forward. So it'll be like the same
with
thing
all
with
these
the Bucks
super teams around, it just makes you think like going back into the day, like when there was a huge argument of letting CP on to the Lakers. Like now you see all these other teams, and it's just a mock about that whole statement. Like imagine if CP had gone to the Lakers around when Kobe was in.
But yeah, Kobe would definitely have more championships. I mean, the thing with that too, because I was one of those guys that was like, you know, that was BS that didn't happen. But at the time, there was no actual owner of the New Orleans Pelicans. Like the league owned. Were they the Pelicans at the time, or were they still the Hornets?
They're still the Hornets.
The New Orleans team, we'll just say that. But that New Orleans franchise. So
okay.
Stern had, you know, whatever he wanted to do, whatever he wanted to do with that. So with it being his league and it in his hands, I could see why he didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of that had to do with kind of the media's reaction to it. If you remember back then, and I definitely remember, the media was kind of saying the Hornets didn't win in the trade. So when the NBA owns the team and they see something like that, it kind of made them back out of the trade. So it was what it was. Like, and I brought this point up before, and Jayla, shout out to my homie Jayla. If you think about it now, CP was next to James Harden, they make it to a conference finals. CP next to Devin Booker, they make it to a conference finals. Some people would argue that Rockets team should have made it to the conference finals. So if you put a scoring guard next to a point guard like CP, it's almost guaranteed. Like Richard said, the Kobe number probably definitely had more championships.
It would have been something incredible to see, just because it fun games to watch, because it would just be raining threes all day from every angle. It doesn't matter what angle it's at. It's just another three hit, another three hit, another three hit.
I don't know if a lot of people remember when CP was on the Hornets. It might have been his last series before he kind of requested that trade. They went at the Lakers. I remember them stealing a game or two in LA when CP threw like a bullet pass through the lane. So if you think about that and you put that with CP, I mean, you put that with Kobe, it's just who knows what could happen.
Championships would have happened. That's what, like, consecutive in a row. Like Kobe would have had another. Definitely could have had another at least 2-peat, possible 3-peat.
Well, he's got 5, so I mean, it could have been a Tom Brady type of situation where he
definitely
flips Mike there as far as championships goes with a point guard like Chris Paul.
Yeah, anything's possible. We definitely would have got that LeBron versus Kobe probably finals. But remember, the Heat were on the up then. The Thunder was still on the up then. There's still some teams that they would have had to deal with. So nothing's guaranteed, but they definitely would have been probably one of the favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, Mavericks were still the underdogs around that time frame. Like that was still for some somehow, in some way, the Mavericks always find they get their names up, and now they got this new kid coming in, who is just cleaning the court. Like he's Luka is something that is exciting to watch. He's bringing more excitement back into basketball again.
Yeah. I mean, Luka's definitely the next best thing coming up for sure. He's definitely transformed that organization as well. And specifically with that trade on that draft night, both of those teams came away happy with what they got. You know, I don't think either of those teams are complaining about.
Especially the Hornets.
The Dallas Mavericks got a superstar talent, and then the Atlanta Hawks got a superstar talent, and one is playing in the conference finals right now, in part because of that, and the others, you know, been in the playoffs since the second year in the league now.
Yeah, it might be his third year in the league. I think they've been in since his second year, so they've been in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you know, he's definitely a talent. Something that me and Kayson have talked about in regards to him, because I know Tim, I don't know if you're a Knicks fan or not, but I know a lot of Knicks fans have a disdain for Kristaps Porzingis. So anytime that they see that he doesn't play well, they want to, you know, throw it at him a bit. I'm just here to say his lack of success in these playoffs or in this last season with Dallas, it isn't because he got bad or anything like that. I think it's in part because of Luka Doncic.
Absolutely.
Kayson's definitely talked about this as well. Luka Doncic plays a lot like James Harden played in Houston, as far as, you know, he'll kick it out to you when he feels like he has to, but he's
aggressive. He's definitely aggressive when he's on the court.
He's extremely ball dominant, and everybody's just kind of sitting around waiting when he's got the ball in his hands. And then another great point that Kayson's brought up on our show was, you know, when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he kind of looks lost out there. So number one, plenty of people have said this about Harden: you're not going to win a championship playing like that, and it proved true. And I think for him, he's young, so he's definitely got to take heed to those words now and definitely change up a little bit with what he's doing. I don't know what the Dallas Mavericks are going to do. Maybe they're going to look to trade Kristaps Porzingis. I've heard the rumblings of it, but I haven't heard anything in a while now about whether or not they're going to keep him over there. But
that boy's never going to be happy in the league. He's never going to be happy in the league.
If he can get to the right situation, because I mean, he's still like what Kevin Durant's the one that nicknamed him the unicorn. Like he got that for a reason. Like at his height, you know, for the skill set he has, like he is a great talent. I mean, the injuries is definitely a cause for concern, but he's still a great talent. He's just got to get into a right situation.
Yeah, I agree with most of it. Like I'm saying, the difference is like a lot of people like to call, and Jalen said this, a lot of people like to call and think that Luka's more of a floor general. And like I said, he's more of like a shot creator. He's like Harden. He's someone that just draws so much attention with his talent and kind of has the ball so much in his hand that you're going to get people open eventually, because no team is going to let you go off and get 40 or do whatever. So they're going to bring help. They're going to try to double you. They're going to do some things. When you drive, there's going to be someone there. So you're going to get people open as long as you pass the ball. You don't be too selfish. So he's more like a shot creator. He's going to create shots for himself and shots for others. He's not as much of a floor general like Chris Paul is going to put you in the right spots. And I think that's what hurts Porzingis a little bit. He may need to go somewhere, or now if he doesn't go somewhere, I think kind of to Rich's point that Luka's going to have to change up his game a little bit and kind of be, if he's going to have the ball in his hand that much and be that point guard, he's going to have to change it up and be more of a floor general a little bit. So sometimes you can get your shot, but sometimes you want to let other people touch the ball. Let Porzingis get a couple post-ups to start the game. You want to get your other players feeling well so they're hitting shots, especially later on in the game when it matters more. So that's probably the next step for Luka, to become more of a floor general than a shot creator, if they're going to have him at point full time. If not, I think that the Mavs have to go out and get a point guard that can put Luka in the right spots, and then also be able to get out his way when he has the ball, and also put Porzingis in the right spot so he can get his touches.
There's two things I wanted to touch on that. Like if Porzingis actually does get a little active, Luka and Porzingis together and as a chemistry, and Luka being able to actually, pass the ball and being able to, get the ball off his hands and being able to still make the shot at the same time, it could be a solid threat. But where would you see Porzingis going, and what team would actually be interested in having him on the team, especially with the attitude that he has and with the injuries that he has? And just the overall, I mean, yeah, he definitely has talent. Not doubting that he doesn't have talent, but I'm just saying that overall, I don't think like many teams see see a lot of potential in having him on the team.
Well, they'd be as of right now, the Mavericks would be selling low on him. I will say, like, as far as Luka goes, like the beauty in them hiring Jason Kidd is that might help Luka's game out tremendously. Like we were just talking about Chris Paul. We talk about top 5 point guards all the time. Jason Kidd should be in that conversation because Jason Kidd has transformed every organization he's been to. Like when he was with the Mavericks, they were a threat. When he was with the Phoenix Suns, they were a threat. He went to the Nets right after Stephon Marbury did, and Stephon Marbury was just putting up numbers, but the Nets weren't going anywhere. As soon as Jason Kidd gets to the Nets, they go to 2 NBA Finals. He goes to the Knicks, and the Knicks go to their first playoffs since they went to the Finals in 1999. So, his guard skills are definitely going to be something that could help out with Luka there. I mean, he's credited a ton for helping out Giannis's development in those early stages in Milwaukee when he was the head coach there. And then Porzingis, people tend to forget when Porzingis and Luka Doncic first got together, they looked very scary. Even last playoffs, they looked scary together until Porzingis got hurt.
I was gonna say until what? Like exactly what happens? Like that is the injuries. It's the consistent injuries. Is that he just can't stay physically healthy.
Yeah, again, that goes to he probably needs to get back in the gym more. I think that goes to his size with what he does. But to answer your question, I mean, there's definitely teams that would for sure take him, especially with the Mavericks can't really ask for a lot with what they've gotten from him in the last year, even though most teams will say we know what he's capable of. Or I think a team like the Lakers would definitely want to use his services. I mean, they could use a lot of people's services right now.
Yeah, I was about to say.
In the Miami Heat, Pat Riley and the Miami Heat are always big game hunting. So they'll take anytime a big superstar's name is on the horizons, whether it's free agency or trades, they're a team that's always going to be brought up. So that's another
Pelicans go without Zion.
Yeah, but then what are you going to give up? And then I'm not sure. I'm not sure on the Pelicans.
I mean, the Pelicans do have something that they do have at least some lower end players that they can exchange as well.
I got a team for you guys. How about this? Phoenix. We just talked about how he should be with a point guard who's going to be a pass first point guard and put him in the right spots. And we also just talked about how Phoenix needs to kind of update their roster after this because the Lakers are going to come back, the Clippers are going to come back without Kawhi, the Nets are going to be back. So the Phoenix Suns, even if they win a championship this year, they still have to be thinking about what's next because there's teams out there who still may be a little better when they're healthy. So if they can pull off a Porzingis trade, it'll keep them maybe a little more relevant and maybe not as predictable going into next season.
And I'll say James Jones is one of the best executives around too. As soon as he's gotten that job, he needs to be in the running for executive of the year. I know he didn't win it this year, but what he's done as far as putting the pieces together on that team to surround, because we all knew how good Devin Booker was. He just never had a good team around him. And as soon as James Jones got the job over there to run basketball operations, like making the trade to get Mikal Bridges from Philly on draft night, drafting DeAndre Ayton, bringing Chris Paul in there, like dude has just done an amazing job. So as far as like next moves for the Phoenix Suns, they're a team because of how they're running things right now and the pieces they have. I really wouldn't be worried about them too much into the future.
I was just thinking of that would definitely be a way they can upgrade their roster and still be a little more relevant going forward. If they can pull it off. That was just we think about somewhere Porzingis to go. CP will really unlock him and get him into the spots and get him the ball when he needs it. And Devin Booker is more of a kind of like a scoring guard who doesn't need to dominate the ball as much.
Yeah, and he definitely would get the ball in his hands a little bit more. I feel like if he would go off there, just because like I said before, Luka is a very dominant player. You're going to see the ball in his hand the majority of the time. But if he goes with CP, he's definitely going to get the ball. He'll definitely get the ball more because he'll be at least be able to stay healthy enough. He should be able to be somewhat an effective player for them if that trade would ever happen.
I think it'd be a kind of a long shot for it to pull off. You're talking about not having the pieces. I don't know what Phoenix would have right now. Now let's think they want to give us some draft picks or something. But it was one of those hypothetical things where if there was a perfect spot for Porzingis, I think it'd be right there, and it keeps Phoenix in play championship contention.
Now, where do we see the Knicks next year?
The Knicks need to get a point guard. I mean, that's been their biggest need forever. I mean, some Knicks fans would be happy about it, not all of them, but I know a name that's definitely they've been chasing since the trade deadline last year was Lonzo Ball. And I don't dislike Lonzo Ball, but his brother is actually everything that his dad said he was going to be. But as far as like a floor general goes, he's a great passer. Like he sets guys up great. That's what they need. They need a guy that's going to be able to control the tempo of the game. I'm sorry, something just came up. They need a guy.
Same thing on my end.
They need a guy that's going to be able to control the tempo of the game. And he could be that. Also, they're going to need a number one option. Now that so far in his career that I haven't seen that from him, but those are two things they need because Julius Randle showed you in this postseason he's not a number one option. On a championship contender, he's probably a number 3. But those are the two things they're going to have to go into the season attacking: getting a point guard and getting a number one option. Now, if they can get both of those things done in one player, great for them. I don't know what point guard I would do Damian Lillard, but other than that,
that'd be the ideal scoop up. But can you ever actually see? Could it be possible to see him in a Knicks jersey?
Yeah, it can. It's something me and Kayson talked about on the show. The Knicks actually present the best package to get him with the draft picks they have and young players that they have over there too. I mean,
if he goes to the Knicks, that's a pretty dangerous. That automatically becomes a dangerous team just because of the other talent that's around there. Depending on what they give up for him, though.
Yeah, that's the thing that they would have to give up a lot to get him. So, but once you get him, a lot of players will want to come there. So filling out the rest of their roster won't be too hard.
I mean, but look, they got to give up the draft picks, and they have that. They have the draft. They have the draft capital to bring things in. And then they have the young players to match things up too. You know what I mean? Like guys that haven't played well in New York, that maybe another team could sit and say, we can still do something with them. The one man's trash is another man's treasure type of thing. But they wouldn't have to gut. I don't think that they would have to gut their team to get Damian Lillard over there.
Sure. I mean, you can keep Julius Randle, but like you're saying, they're young players. R.J. Barrett would probably have to go. Mitchell Robinson would probably have to go. So you
have to give up Mitch to get it done.
Probably. If I'm the Blazers, I want as much as possible if I'm giving up Damian Lillard. So I think the Blazers would be selling themselves short if they didn't try to get as much as they can. So I want all those young players and some picks.
Seeing him alongside D Rose would be something.
Yeah, I think seeing him in New York in general would be a spectacle. You see how he played in the playoffs: 55 points, 10 unbelievable shots, I think 10 3-pointers. If he's doing that at the Garden, they're selling out when the Knicks are go 0-82. So to see him in the Garden hitting half-court shots, just the mecca of basketball, it'll be a spectacle within itself. So
it'd be the ultimate New York move to bring him here. It'd be the ultimate New York move.
It'd be ironic too because we know the story about how the Knicks wanted Steph Curry once upon a time ago in the draft. Damian Lillard and Steph Curry are the same player. The only difference is Steph just does everything Dame does better. But to get a guy with that type of range would just be spectacular. I mean, he plays the point guard position very well.
Yeah, that I'll give. He does play the position better, but Steph is the better shooter.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Steph does everything that Dame does better.
Here's why I say Dame may work out a little better for the Knicks because Steph probably does everything better. But the one thing I say Dame, at least he's shown us that he can do better, is definitely lead a team by himself. Where
Hey,
Stephen Curry,
you
obviously,
know where I'm
not
at.
not to knock him a little bit. Obviously, he had those players, and you need great players to win. But we see how he looked last year and kind of the start of this year too. I think Dame has shown that he can be durable enough, which maybe Steph's probably is not as durable. He can be durable enough to lead a team by himself.
Durability, I'll give you. But you know where I'm on that. Okay, I have been on the train like for years, knocking Steph because he's never actually led a team. This season though, he must have heard me or heard other people like me. He went on a tear. It was extremely close to get. I thought they were going to the playoffs. I even went as far as to say they're going to make the second round. But yeah, Dame showed that more in his career, but I'm not going to
It's
talk.
definitely been an entertaining postseason, though. It's definitely been entertaining to watch everything that's going on, especially after such a short break between each season. Like to see what players are still able to play, and to see just the spectacle of just like some players scoring over 30 points, scoring over 40 points, and just really giving it all they fucking got. Like it's just it's amazing to see, and it's also it's entertaining again. It's really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, as unfortunate as the injuries have been, we have seen some unbelievable performances. Trae Young's been unbelievable, kind of all the playoffs. You think about that. What he
As
had,
much as New
41,
York
maybe
hates him now.
48 maybe in that first game. Chris Middleton, richest guy, he went off in game 3. He had an amazing performance. Paul George, he's been going off. He was going off. He had a couple good games. Chris Paul had that closeout game. So we've seen some great performance. Just KD, we can't forget about KD's
Yeah, I was about to
performance.
say, hold on, we got that one person there.
So there's been some unbelievable performances, which is good, which is lucky enough because there's been a lot of unfortunate injuries.
Yeah, what I'm also looking forward to next, besides the finals, I'm just overall the next season. Now they're gonna have a full break. They're gonna have full training camp. They're gonna have a full rest period. New picks coming in. Post COVID, everything is going back to normal little by little. It's just going to be very interesting to see where this whole season now goes. Not everybody, hopefully, by then will be healed and be good to go.
Yeah, definitely. I think, but even this off season is still going to be a little short. We're going to end in July, and then the season's going to start in October. Usually, the season's over June, May for some people, and then you start back in October. So it's still going to be a little short, but it's definitely not going to be as short as last off season, and we're definitely going to get that big space in between. So it's going to be interesting. Like we were just talking about, AD and them, the Lakers are going to be back. Brooklyn's going to be back. The Clippers will probably be back if Kawhi ends up resigning. So there's some teams are going to get healthy, and it's going to make it real interesting. And that's why I said earlier, some of these teams right now, like the Hawks, may never have this chance again. The Bucks, obviously, they have Giannis. They might, but take it from me, the Thunder, we went to finals in 2012, and we thought, well, we'll be back. Sometimes opportunity just may not present itself again. So you got to take advantage of these opportunities. So same thing with the Phoenix Suns. Like I was saying, they're going to have to try to keep going. You can't be satisfied right now, even if you win the championship, where it's like, all right, we're just gonna run it back with the same team. They're gonna have to find a way to still tweak it a little bit because next season is gonna be crazy.
And you never know who's going to emerge as well. Like Kayson just brought up the Thunder, as a team. I remember everybody was saying, "Oh, this team will be back. This team will be back." If you guys remember when the Celtics lost to the Cavaliers in was that 2018, like it was the same similar conversation because you had three young players leading the charge there. Yeah, this team's going to be around for a long time. Now we don't even know the future of that team. A bunch of people got fired. We're talking trades, like things happen, things change, and that's why like you can, even though like you have your prohibited favorites, you never really know like what's gonna happen. The Warriors were supposed to go out and dominate the league for years to come, but as history shows us, when you play from October into June, year after year after year, that takes a toll on the body, and injuries will start to happen. So again, the theme here is things happen. So, you never know who's gonna come out and things like that. So I think next season is definitely gonna be a fun one to watch as far like The Knicks, like who thought the Knicks?
The surprise of the fucking century.
Exactly. Like you never know what team is going to arrive, and it's always going to happen. Whether it's a lottery pick leading the charge or something, there's going to be some team that we'll be talking about next season doing something.
Yeah, it's going to be. Well, overall, I'm like I said before, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what happens next season. You know, it's Kayson's picks this season. When we spoke on the last episode, unfortunately, due to the injury factor, he had mentioned that the Lakers and the Nets were going to be in the finals, and unfortunately, that is definitely not the circumstance that we're looking at right now. As much as an entertaining game as that would have been with both teams fully healthy, would have been a very entertaining game, but.
To my point, like you said, there's a lot of injuries that kind of sway things, and maybe I would have been right. But I've been hitting it out. You know, they say even when I'm wrong, I'm right, and I've been kind of hitting it out the park since that little prediction on your show. I predicted that the Suns series would go 6, they would lose Game 5. You know, different things like that. So I'm wrong, but I'm right a lot of times.
Yeah, I see you talking a little bit. I see the little emojis after each answer, and you know when your polls and all that stuff. I see the little sub emojis just to be like eyes, just to be like, like you sure that was the right pick?
When I'm right, I'm right. I'm wrong. I could have been right, so I'm still right because it could have been wrong.
Definitely. So even when I'm wrong, I'm right. So I was wrong about that one, but at the end of the day, I was right about a lot of other stuff.
One topic I do want to bring up, this next NFL season, with a little bit of the controversy going on with Green Bay, do you still see Aaron Rodgers coming back?
I do. I mean, I hope not, because I'm hoping that my New York Giants will make a trade to bring him.
Oh, thank God, you're a Giants fan too.
Yeah, you know, you got to go with that, man. I'm hoping that
what could we give up to get Aaron Rodgers?
They have 2 first-round picks next year. They got Chicago's first-round pick and their own first-round pick. They could, if they really wanted to, they could definitely make that trade happen. Because I am not a believer in Daniel Jones.
Absolutely, thank you.
He's shown glimpses.
He fell on a clear, open route. Running
himself, man.
Fell.
I was actually in Colorado with a buddy of mine watching that game at the hotel, and I turned around for a second because I'm like, oh, he's going to the house. It's against Philly. None of that. That's a game.
Out of all fucking teams. Out of all teams.
So I'm like, all right, let me turn around and go grab something to eat real quick because he's going to the house. I turned back around and he's on the ground. I'm like, did he fall? Because nobody was near him. That was the crazy.
You had Saquon screaming from the side, knees up, and he just started to tumble, and there he goes. He starts fucking falling over and gets snapped.
He's shown glimpses of like, all right, this might be the guy, but between his turnover issues and
he's our Mr. Trubisky.
There you go. That's a very good.
He's our Mr. Trubisky. That's all. That's exactly what he is. He can get out of the pocket. He can run, but he also fumbles, and he doesn't know how to get rid of the ball in time. And when he does get rid of the ball, he throws it literally. It's as if he gets sacked in Madden, when you're literally getting sacked and you're trying to throw it off, and the button still just delays it, and you're throwing it off. Now it's an interception.
He was actually showing like improvement throughout the season, and this was when I was really off of him because I was teetering on him from his rookie year on, and then last year at this point I was like, all right, he's not the guy. He was showing like a lot of improvement where I was really like, all right, maybe he might be the guy, and then he got hurt and he was out for I want to say like 2 weeks. Or maybe just
it was like I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks because it was towards the end of the season and Colt McCoy came in and started to actually show something.
Almost a game, I think against Seattle of all teams, but then he came back, and when he came back, his mobility wasn't there because he wasn't 100%, and all he did was show me that he was very limited in what he could do. When he can't get out the pocket, he's not that great of a passer.
We're talking about the first time he got out. Yeah, there was. It shows that he is a one-trick pony. Like, he's not Danny Dimes. He's Danny gets out the pocket. That's all he really is. That's exactly what he is. He's Danny gets out the pocket. Danny gets sacked.
Well, unfortunately for Daniel Jones, he got drafted to New York, and you know how New York is. So people want winners right now, so that's unfortunate for him. Obviously, he's still a young player and needs some time to develop. I'm kind of on the side with you guys too. Obviously, if you can get an Aaron Rodgers, you go for it. But another thing that's been unfortunate for him too is that he got drafted to New York, and no one kind of wanted him. So, not saying that everyone was like waiting for him to fail, but I think those just two things going against him. So it's like you got here, it's New York, and you're not the guy we wanted.
Giants fan. I don't want you to fail. I want my team to win. Quarterback. I want you to be good, but he's not shown that. And the unfortunate things for us as Giants fans is our general manager's career is dependent on him being successful. So he's not even we're thinking about trying to use those picks to get Aaron Rodgers. Dave Gettleman is going to continue to think about, as long as I got the job here, how can I make this kid a success? And that's why he did the drafting that he did, because
and the signing, the amount of free agents we signed over this past season, we picked up some solid players.
And I was okay with that. In the draft, I did not want a skill player. I'm like, we do not need another skill player. Let's add to this defense that was showing us something a year ago. And instead we draft this kid Tony out of Florida. And I heard he's an electrifying playmaker. So we'll see once the season comes around. But at that point, it turned into overkill. How exactly are you gonna fit all these guys in now? Well, this is the make it or break it year, because if he doesn't do it this is what it is. A lot of people are hoping that he's like Eli, because Eli's first 2 years in the league were not great.
It was a shameful time.
But then he comes in around year 3 year 4, when people are starting to talk about he's not the guy, and leads them to the Super Bowl. So a lot of people are hoping that it's that. But the difference between him and Eli is Eli was a durable player. Daniel Jones has shown us in his whole NFL career so far, you're not going to get him for a full season. And then I don't know if he's got some of the mental stuff that Eli had either.
Eli was a clutch factor. But he also was a Manning at the same time. Like that's you gotta give it it seems to be something in that bloodline, because even their youngest brother is coming up and starting to make his name a little known as well. So something to do with the whole Manning thing. But you can't compare him specifically to Eli, but I do see the comparisons as far as the beginning of the seasons, and I'm praying that if he does great, if he brings us to the Super Bowl this season, I'll buy a jersey. I will legitimately buy a jersey. But if he ends up becoming a Sam Darnold for us this season, and he gets drafted off, and we pick up somebody new, we pick up the first round draft pick for next season, I'm fine with that as well.
Look, I think
go ahead.
I think it should be Aaron Rodgers we are hoping for.
Yeah, that's what I was. Aaron Rodgers fan. Like, if the Giants aren't in it, I'm rooting for Green Bay, because I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. So if I can get my favorite NFL player on my favorite NFL team, that's a win-win for me.
All right, we're on the same page then, because Green Bay is third, 49ers are my second, because my father's a 49er fan, which I'm going to bring up that also. How the hell are the 49ers going to rebound from next year? Well, from last year?
Well, it was injuries for them. You know, they would have been a playoff team if literally almost everybody on their team got hurt. They lost their quarterback.
That's what I'm saying, though. Everybody stays getting hurt. It's every single year. You got another injury. I love Kittle is basically one of my favorite players of all time. His attitude, the way he runs, the fact that he wants to run block, but he is constantly getting injured because of his attitude, the way he plays. But
we saw what they can do when they're healthy. So as long as because it wasn't just Kittle or Jimmy G, who we know have history of injury. It was the defense. You know, Bosa tore his ACL. Like, almost their entire defense went down. I think even their backup quarterback got hurt. What's that kid's name? He's actually not that bad. Can't remember his name, but even they ended up having to pick up another quarterback because they were going to their third and fourth stringers. That's how bad things were in San Francisco last year. So if they as long as they can stay healthy, they're a postseason team. They're a threat to go back to the Super Bowl. I wouldn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but they're definitely a threat.
I don't know. I can't pick him to stay healthy. That's just my thing. Like the way the team's history, it's hard, it's a hard time, especially if you have an aging team as well on the other side of the defense. Is Richard Sherman still on there, or I know he's a free agent this past season. I don't know if they brought him back.
Last I checked, Sherman's. I'll do some fact checking on my end,
but he have a burnt out cornerback in the back who literally gets burnt out because he can't keep up with any of the younger guys now. You put him up against Tyreek Hill burns him every time, or somebody like Tyreek Hill, because you also got that other guy from
Sherman just anybody.
Yeah, that's what he said. That's what I was saying. I knew he didn't resign.
Yeah, he's not. He's still a free agent right now.
So, that's interesting.
The 49ers are obviously they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago now. I think they're kind of closer to that than maybe not being a playoff team, like you guys were saying. The injuries are there, and they just kind of got to get healthy and maybe make a couple tweaks. But I think like kind of the same point you guys were saying. If they can stay healthy, they can probably definitely be back in the playoffs. And you think about it, they were one maybe bad Garoppolo pass from maybe possibly winning the Super Bowl, or at least taking it to overtime or something. So.
Well, that's why they drafted a quarterback, because they know Garoppolo, as good as Garoppolo will take, because they've won. They literally have a winning record as long as Garoppolo is their quarterback. But they don't trust Garoppolo to take them all the way, because another quarterback like Tom, and I'm not even the biggest Tom fan, but another quarterback like Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or an Eli Manning, whatever you want to say, those guys make that play happen and win you the Super Bowl. He just showed that was actually the theme that whole postseason too, that they were not trusting him to win them the games. That's why they were. If you go back and watch a lot of those playoff games, they were doing a lot more running than they were throwing, and that wasn't a coincidence.
But it also helped them win the game, though. Like that's the other thing. Like the run game is what really they destroyed Green Bay. I'll never forget watching that game. I was watching with my dad, and we're just sitting there. He's having a laugh off, and I'm just thinking, "Damn, I can't believe Aaron Rodgers is going down like this."
Yeah, that's because Green Bay at that time, and it was actually a little bit of a. They still had this. This is why Aaron Rodgers isn't happy over there, because they don't fix the problems that they have. They could not stop all year that season. We talked about how their defense was not great against the run, so they make it to the NFC Championship pretty much because of their quarterback, and they lose because they can't stop the run. Go back to the NFC Championship this year, pretty much because of their quarterback, and they have.
Who was the MVP of the season?
Exactly, and they got one of the top wide receivers in the game in Devontae Adams, and still can't really stop the run, which was a big reason on why they lost. So, I mean, yes, the 49ers, that was a big thing, but they had a very good run game, but you need to throw the ball in this league. And they just were choosing to continuously go to that run game. And it wasn't going, if they were going to just be a running team the entire postseason, there was no way they were going to win the Super Bowl, because at some point you have to throw the ball. And when they needed him to throw the ball, he just couldn't close the deal for him. And that's why they drafted Trey Lance.
In my ideal situation would be, flashback a couple of years, we have Eli running out his last season. We wait a year and we draft Justin Herbert, just because what he was able to do with the team that he has down there. Justin Herbert is somebody who can literally get out the pocket, but also throw for over 400 yards each game, basically.
But look, man, I've had to make the apology on Justin Herbert before, because I was not a fan. Like a lot of Giants fans I know that year, when like the talk first started about going after a quarterback in the draft, I was a big Haskins guy, and so far I've been wrong about Haskins.
Yeah, I think everybody was.
I was a huge guy. Haskins grew up in New Jersey. He grew up a Giants fan. He was killing it in the Big Ten. And
so thankful we didn't draft him.
No, I'm very happy we didn't draft him. But to be honest with you, I don't think his lack of success in the NFL has been because of his talent. I think it's been a lot of up here and him not being ready. Because if you talk to a lot of analysts going into the draft, they said he should probably stay in college for another year because they didn't think he was ready for the NFL. And then he gets to the NFL and he pretty much proved them right. Now he's in Pittsburgh. We'll see how that works, backing up Big Ben over there. how that thing works.
What a strange deal with that is you have basically a mobile quarterback who's a giant, and then you got Haskins, who is it's not that tall, but he's got some height to him, but he can get the pocket.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about that? I had a friend that said, because Haskins isn't fast, but he can move, and that's kind of like Ben. Ben is not a runner, but if he goes outside of the pocket, like he's a lot better at moving outside the pocket than Eli was. So that's
runner.
It's a little ironic that those two are ending up on the same team now. But to get back to the point. I was not a Herbert guy, just because I was like, let me go watch some of these Oregon games to see what people are talking about, because everybody was raving about how great of a thrower he was at the football. So I'm sitting there and I saw it, but I'm like, he doesn't do this on a consistent basis. So I'm like, I don't know if that's going to translate well. And look, man, he did the right thing by staying at Oregon an extra year. And he's looking like he's gonna be the next best thing in the NFL. So apologies, Justin Herbert. I was wrong about you, and it would be nice to have you on the Giants.
Yeah, it would be very damn. It would be him or Aaron Rodgers. I'll take either one of them.
Yeah, I think the Haskins situation. A Haskins situation can maybe end up like kind of what Drew Brees and them were doing last year, where you put him with a veteran quarterback and you hope that he can learn under him for a year or so and help him be a better professional. And then I think when Big Ben, obviously he's probably going to retire soon, maybe these next couple of years, maybe next season. And then you think about Haskins, if he learns from Big Ben, learns how to be a better professional, you move him in there and he's your quarterback for the future, maybe, hopefully. Because he's obviously, all of us just said that we wanted him, so he's obviously was a talented quarterback and still probably is a talented quarterback. He just needs to get his head on straight. And Big Ben is kind of maybe one of the perfect people to learn under.
Yeah, especially after all the big mistakes that Big Ben has made in the past. Like, he definitely showed the kid, hey, you only get this shot one time, because there'll be a million other kids right now to be in this position, right? Would die to be in this position right now.
And I don't. Go ahead, Rich.
I was gonna say he's got to be winning that number 2 spot. He's definitely the best quarterback outside of Ben that they have on that roster. Like, I'm not a fan of this kid that they brought in from Rudolph, that they got him from Oklahoma State a couple years ago when he had the feeling for Ben.
And if Myles Garrett had to throw the helmet on him, or was that McDonald?
No, it was Garrett.
It was.
He ended up losing his job to a guy that they signed through the practice squad, and Duck Hodges. That happens for a reason. I think they brought Josh Dobbs back. They got rid of him in the past for a reason. I think they signed somebody else. But the point is, he's got to be QB2 over there. Like, I don't see any way that he doesn't win the job over there. And I mean, then we'll go from there, because you got to figure the Pittsburgh Steelers seem like they addressed a lot of the things that people were saying they need to get back to. They've always been tough, in your face, running the football. They lost that a little bit. And then they just addressed it in the draft when they drafted Etienne, didn't they? Or Etienne's with the Jaguars.
No, I'm pretty sure he signed with the Jaguars.
So they brought in this kid from Bama. Excuse me. So sorry, that's a mistake on my point. So they got one of the best running backs in the draft over there now. Signed a couple other guys. You still got Juju. Like, they're doing some good things over there. So
could you see them re-signing Le'Veon Bell with the situation that's going on currently right now? Could you see Le'Veon Bell re-signing back in with Pittsburgh Steelers?
Maybe.
I think it'll be tough. I think if you see the way the exit happened, it didn't seem like he was too happy with Big Ben and them over there. And Big Ben is still there.
Breakup over there.
Yeah. So I think they would, if the relationship is repaired, maybe, but I think that'd be a tough situation right now, because who knows how it is over there. Like I said, it seems like Rich said, it was a bad breakup, and it didn't seem like they were on the side of Big Ben too much. Maybe after Big Ben leaves, you can maybe, if it was that big of a situation, but who knows?
Because I was gonna say, because if you have Haskins coming up, imagine Haskins and Le'Veon Bell. You don't know who's gonna get the ball.
That's true, but I mean, Le'Veon Bell just had to deal with Sam Darnold for a little while. I think he might want to maybe not be with another young quarterback trying to find his way. He may want to be with a veteran quarterback and maybe more of a veteran team so he can start winning some. But if he loved Pittsburgh that much and they can repair the relationship, I don't see why not. But we don't know here how bad the breakup really was and if it's repairable.
What's even going on over there? Like, I haven't got. What is his beef with Andy Reid? Like,
I don't know. It's just something that apparently was said, or the way he was used in the Super Bowl, and then they had like a private conversation, and he didn't like the way that he was being talked to. So then Le'Veon said, "I will never work for Andy Reid again." Just literally, by out of all ways to announce it, a comment on somebody else's tweet or Instagram pic or whatever it was, by a comment. That's how he announced he's no longer on the Chiefs. Like, his career is mind blowing to me because he walks away because he's not getting enough money, but he signs for less money, and then he loses that money, and then he goes off to another team, goes to the Super Bowl, doesn't like how he's been treated. Now he has no team now.
and I mean, what was he expecting in it? Like, if he was going to get the ball more in that Super Bowl, he wasn't going to have a ton of success because the Chiefs line was gone. Like, a lot of those guys got hurt. That was a big reason why they got blown out.
That's the same reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Packers. Was the same exact reason, because the tackles and the guards were gone. Bakhtiari was out, and he had no chance of anyone protecting Aaron Rodgers, just like there was no way of protecting Patrick Mahomes.
All that aside, what was he really expecting? Because the Chiefs were already a Super Bowl team and they already kind of established. Like, obviously he came in and they probably told him he'll get the ball, but they relied a lot on Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes and those guys getting the ball. Kelsey and those guys creating plays. So he probably would have been an afterthought a little bit. Not to say like, because he's still talented. He's obviously a great player. Not to say he was an afterthought, but I don't think he should have expected that much touches anyway, kind of with how their team was kind of going anyway. And then to Rich's point, you add on top of that the offensive line is messed up. Now unless he thinks he's just going to run people over.
And he's not known to run people over. He's just known to stay patient, hide behind somebody, and then break off into the gap. Like, he's not like the Frank Gore type, and even he's a more modern reference, Derrick Henry type, to literally air chuck somebody 5 yards in front of him.
Yeah, definitely, and then it's like, yeah, like Rich was kind of saying, this is what do you expect? They were a rather established team, and I don't think they were going to change to being a running team after they have all those weapons and they were established for the Super Bowl. It wasn't just going to be like, we're going to stop doing this and go to and be a running team and give Le'Veon the ball and let him get 20 touches a game.
Yeah, it wasn't what we were expecting as the Super Bowl, but what do you expect with a team like that, with the Buccaneers defense, that defense next year? The fact that they have that whole team again next year is a very, very, very scary thought, but it is also a very interesting one as well, just because you have all these other teams that have very young talent that seem to be doing fairly well last season. And for example, now they have little veterans like Arizona. You look at Arizona, now they just signed J.J. Watt, and they've come out with a statement saying that they've seen a significant difference between their defense now and their defense then before J.J. Watt showed up.
Yeah, J.J. Watt definitely transforms your team. I mean, like, for Tampa, I just feel like a lot of things went right for them last postseason, because they were a team that I wasn't the biggest believer in.
I damn near didn't believe him. I did not think he was going to get to the Super Bowl that fast.
Well, Tom Brady fans will tell you they won it because of him, but if you actually watch the games, like, he would not
defense.
Yeah, the defense was a big thing, and he wasn't really. I don't want to say he wasn't not a driver on that bus, but he wasn't the driver on that bus either. Like, and then you just brought up a lot of young teams coming up. Like, look at a lot of the games they played during the year. Like, look at when they played the Giants. They should have lost to the Giants. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they just, I didn't believe in it too much. I mean, you got to tip your hat to them for winning the Super Bowl, and he gets number 7. But that might be it. Like, maybe I'll end up eating these words, in 2022. But I just feel like that might be it, because he's even starting to doubt himself. If you hear a lot of these, because remember at one point he's talking about, I want to play till I'm 45, I want to play till I'm like 50. Now he's starting to talk about how he's closer to the end. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah, what he realizes the new wave of talent that is coming in, and how hard somebody like Chris Young can hit him and can really take him out. Like, you have all these young 6'10" people coming in, rushing in at you at 300 pounds. Can't take many more of those hits.
Yeah, and I kind of to Richard's point, I think it's going to be interesting for them to. I think they got a little lucky, but obviously every championship run needs a little bit of luck out of there. I think they just started playing well at the right time, which kind of really hit it off for them. Like I said, their defense kind of started playing well. But it's kind of like I was saying with the Phoenix Suns. I'm interested that they brought the same team back, but I'm kind of an opponent where you may want to tweak a couple things and not be as maybe predictable, because obviously that defense was great, but there's great coaches out there that one of them is going to be able to watch some film or something and kind of figure those guys out for next year if you're coming back in just with the same roster trying to do the same thing. So I think they should maybe try, and maybe they can do it at the trade deadline, something else. I think they should maybe consider trying to tweak a few things so it's not just going back in with the same team. And the Chiefs are coming back. We talked about the offensive line. Their offensive line should be better and things like that. So I think, obviously, like I said, they got hot at the right time and a little bit of luck, but everyone needs luck on the championship run. But I think it's going to be interesting to see if they can really run it back and win it with the same team again.
It'd be interesting. And it would be another, legacy, another stone onto, fucking Tom Brady's legacy on his being the GOAT status.
I'm more interested in this upcoming season, because now it's going to be an actual bet. Like last year, like we knew kind of, even though they brought Cam in, we knew the Patriots weren't going to be that good. Like this year, Belichick went crazy with the spending and everything. So now, like, this is kind of going to be like a real talking point of Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick. Who's really going to get who on it was you or it was me now, because they both got what they need to win.
The nosebleed seats for those games, for that game right there, for that game specifically, it's like $2,000.
Yeah.
To see Tom Brady back in New England to play against the Patriots, like it's gonna be a game, Brady versus Bill, and really see what happens now. Like that's a test of wits. Because you already know Bill has a good, a good grab on how Tom somewhat works, and maybe working with Tampa Bay has switched up a couple different things. But for the majority of his time, if you spend 20 years with somebody, you're bound to know certain things, and bound to know certain tricks about to be up their sleeves. So just as much as Brady knows Bill, Bill's going to know Brady. So this is going to be something that's going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm definitely tuned in on how he works that defense to stop him. That's definitely a good point.
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be a lot of interesting storylines. What you guys just brought up, I think the Aaron Rodgers situation. I think Dak Prescott coming back with the Cowboys, how they're gonna fare. Just different. The Chiefs coming back, trying to see if they can kind of respond from what happened to them. So I think there's a lot of interesting stories coming up in the season.
Hey, are you
really is.
And where Aaron Rodgers go can change a lot of what happens in the season.
100%. Hey, are you ready? Yes, hopefully. Okay, Tim, are you ready for this? The NFC is going to be no different this year than it was last year. We're
100%.
There's not going to be a clear-cut winner until late in the year. They're all going to be fighting for. They're all and all the teams got better, but they're all going to still be fighting each other.
Except for the Eagles.
I mean, they got this kid out of Bama at wide receiver now. So
you see Jordan Love, and not Jordan Love. See, I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers, and I'm already
Jalen
Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. Yeah. I'm not a fan. I don't see him going too far, just because he does, again, he's not. I see him go not the controversial route, but I can see him going the similar route of like a Haskins, just being able to get out the pocket, and that's just basically they're dirty dimes.
Well, I mean, we lost out on the division because they chose to sit him. I mean, the Eagles might have won that game against Washington if he played.
Yeah, they sat him and they put up their third string just so they can mess with, so they can. It's like I don't understand. It's like the shit that went through my brain that day is just I never want to hear that single chant again. I never want to hear. I don't even want to talk to anybody who has the Eagles jersey. I don't want to talk to anybody who's a fan. I ignored them all for a week and a half.
So are you guys telling me that you guys aren't on this Washington football train? I see a lot of the media talking about how they think the Washington football team will win this division.
It's tragic.
Yeah, I seen a lot of hype train for them. I think they're the favorite to win it.
Here's the thing about Ryan Fitzpatrick. I've had an argument with when I lived in New York. I used to argue with my barber about this all the time. The Fitz magic thing is real. But when there are expectations placed on that man's shoulders, that's when Fitz tragic happens. And that's why he's been a journeyman in his career. Like in Tampa, Jameis was always going to get the starting job back in Tampa because we started talking about, okay, Tampa might be able to do something because Ryan Fitzpatrick's balling. I don't know if he hears these things and the nerves start hitting, but once expectations get put on the plate, then he starts playing very bad. Buffalo thought he was going to be their franchise guy. What happened to that? You know what I mean?
The Jets thought he was going to be their franchise guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really do feel like Miami did him dirty though, and did Kyle Van Noy dirty as well. Like they just dropped him out of nowhere after the kind of season that he had on their defense. Like the guy was basically their leading rusher, and they let him go.
I don't want to say Miami did him dirty because they drafted Tua, and they knew Tua is your let me not say Tua is your long-term future, but you drafted Tua to be your long-term future. So you're gonna have to implement him sooner rather than later. It's like, all right, so we're all Giants fans here, so this is the best thing that I could put. The Giants couldn't keep Kurt Warner after putting Eli Manning in there. They had to move on from him because you just got Eli Manning in the draft. So you can't have this guy right, looking over his shoulder like, all right, you're the rookie, but anytime you mess up, you got to worry about your job getting taken from you. So I want to say they did him dirty just because they got to do what's in the best long-term successor to it.
I do see that, but I personally don't feel like Tua was nowhere near ready to be the starting position. I feel like what they had last year was going a good chemistry. You would have Fitzpatrick starting up the first half, and then you'd have Tua come in and close out the show.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Tua played pretty well at the end of the season.
Yeah, he had some moments, but then there were a lot of moments where like you were quite that, and because at one point he was starting, and I think like he wasn't playing well, so they had to put Fitzpatrick back into the game. Like this year they did a lot of things to help him out, like as far as drafting wide receivers and things like that. But maybe it was rookie nerves or something. We'll see.
That's what I was gonna say. As far as that, I think you expect that from a rookie. Obviously, some rookies come out and play amazing, but you expect kind of the ups and downs for a rookie, especially someone like Tua who's coming off an injury.
Yeah, I'm not against Tua, but just from what I saw like what they had last year was a pretty damn good chemistry. It was just, Fitzpatrick couldn't close out the show, so you throw in the rookie to get his feet wet a little bit more and to be able to, see what it's like to close out a game and to actually win the game compared to Fitzpatrick where he chokes, where he'll throw an interception or he'll fumble the ball or he'll drop the ball when it's passed in underneath when the center passes it to him. There's been a couple of those games where there's like the minor mistakes that he made towards the end of the game is what cost it.
Yeah. I would agree with what you had to say, but I think for the situation, I think Tua did all right. Like I said, especially coming off the injury that he had. I believe it was a hip injury, if I'm not mistaken. Those are kind of hard to come back from. And
was it hip or was it hamstring?
Yep, it was hip.
It was hip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hip injuries. Yeah, those are kind of hard to come back from. And then, like I said, the rookie's going to have ups and downs. So it is what it is. Obviously, Fitzpatrick being a veteran and things like that, you keep him around, but it is what it is.
Yeah, him being up in Washington, I mean, they had what was his name? Like basically, fuck, the guy that played for them in the playoffs.
I don't even remember that guy's name, to be honest with you. He
But
had
they
like
signed him to a 2-year deal. I forgot his name.
he had like a good 15 seconds of fame with that playoff run. Was he
But
in
they
the
also
XFL?
gave Tampa Bay the toughest run for their money out of all the playoff teams.
They did, but wasn't he a quarterback in the XFL before
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, they had no other option but to sign up. I don't know why they just keep Alex Smith in the game. Like I understand that he was like partially injured, but Alex Smith had moments.
Alex got hurt. That's the only reason why he wasn't playing.
I know he hurt his leg partially. It's like if you're going out that season, fucking go all out.
But they I guess they were, because I mean he almost lost his life because they said it was the same leg that
It was.
got injured. And then they didn't even, I don't know if you've seen, he talked about it. They didn't even want him over there to begin with. Like, that's why he was like slated in as the backup originally. He was third string. And then Haskins goes to backup, and then this kid gets hurt. But yeah, I don't even remember that dude's name. He actually got into an issue. Like they started digging up a bunch of old. Yeah, Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, Heineke. That's what it was. I was trying. I remember it sounded like a beer. I remember that's what I remembered his name.
He got into like some issues where they were like digging up a bunch of his old tweets, and I guess he was tweeting like a bunch of not so great things. So yeah, I don't. He's still on Washington's team. Like I like completely forgot about that guy.
Yeah, I know. After the season, I remember they signed him to like a 2-year deal or something like that. I remember they definitely did sign, because I listened to Pat McAfee show every day, and when they re-signed him, it wasn't like they said it wasn't like a surprise just because of his performance in the playoffs against the Buccaneers. Like, he was able to get out the pocket. He was able to escape with everything that was going on, and plus he had some protection as well. He was the only quarterback to have protection as far as good linemen being able to really, protect him in the pocket. Yet all these other amazing teams just basically crumble under that defense.
Do they still have Eric Flowers over there?
That name.
He decided to start actually playing well as soon as he was away from the Giants.
Oh, dude! Every time was a flag. Eric Flowers holding Eric Flowers.
Eric Flowers in New York was a revolving door.
Constant flags. Multiple times that those stupid ass penalties cost us the game. And I'm firmly happy. I don't care that he's doing. He could do good outside of the NFL, outside of our team. I would never want to see him in our team again, no matter how good he plays. He could be the next Tristan Wirth, and I don't care. I'd rather have somebody like David Bakhtiari on our team. But listen, guys, damn near 2 hours went by.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the time.
Yeah, no, all the sports talk is just to, it makes time fly. But I appreciate y'all having on. Like, this is definitely not gonna be the only time I'm gonna have you on. Hopefully, that you guys have it back again soon. But before we end this off, what is your predictions for the finals coming up?
You want me to go first, Kayson, or you want to take it first?
I can take it first. Obviously, the Phoenix Suns are there. I expect the Bucks to close it out tonight. I mean, not tonight. I expect the Bucks to close it out next game, Game 6. So I expect them to be able to get the Hawks out of here. So I'm predicting it to be a Bucks Suns NBA Finals. I am still kind of up in the air right now, but I'm going to give you a prediction. But this is not my final prediction. I'm holding the right to change my prediction before game one of the finals. But if I have to go with how things are going right now, with the injury to Giannis, even though it's on the hyperextended knee, I think he'll be able to come back and play fairly well. Obviously, no structural damage, which is good for them. But I think it may hurt him a little bit going forward, which is not what they needed. If Giannis was healthy, I was going with the Bucks. But with Phoenix, Giannis being hurt a little bit, Phoenix having home court advantage, I think I'm going with Phoenix in 7.
I too have the Bucks beating the Atlanta Hawks. I got them winning tomorrow night because my man Chris Middleton's gonna go off. And he's gonna get some help, man. Just Jrue Holiday played a hell of a game yesterday along with Brook Lopez. So between those three, I think they're gonna be able to get it done. I actually just got the notification that if the series were to go to Game 7, that Giannis could get the green light to play. So because of seeing that, I think with the rest time going into the finals, he'll be fine because, like you said, it is a hyperextended knee. I also have it going to 7 games, but I'm gonna take the Bucks, man.
I think even though he's going to be green lighted to play in Game 7, I think that'll be a kind of a panic type of thing. So obviously he
it's
could
a hyperextended knee. They said there was no structural damage. He's fine.
Yeah, but I still don't think he'll be 100% by then. Hyperextended knees will still give you a little bit of pain. It's no structural damage, but you still deal with some pain. That's what I said. I don't think he'll be 100%. But I think if it went 7, he was going to try to play anyway because, like, it's Game 7 and season's on the line. So I think that's more of a panic situation than, okay, he's 110% healthy. He might be like a 70, 80. So you can give it a go.
They got Mr. Top 10 himself over there, Chris Middleton. So everything's going to be all right.
He better show out tomorrow because I'm picking them to win. If he does not show up, they're not going to win.
Hey, I think I don't mean to like drag it on. I just think like I think Jrue like in that finals, like Jrue Holiday with his defense and everything is to be a major factor in them being able to win that series too.
That is true. But here's a quick question. Do you put him on Booker or do you put him on CP?
I'm going to say CP.
Yeah, I would say CP too because CP's kind of been the one that's making the engine run. Like the thing when Booker was playing well against the Clippers, it's because they were playing at a really fast pace. So if you could find a way to slow that pace of play down for him, he's probably not going to be able to give you a super high level of production. He'll still play well, but as far as him like going off, like that's all dependent on what Chris Paul can do for that team.
Yeah, we can go on forever about this, so we're not going to drag it too long, too much longer.
But
those are our predictions for now.
All right. So it's for now, and then if you want to see their other predictions for the future, where can they find you guys?
Rundown show. I'm still Kayson. How do they find us on YouTube? Because I can't even find us on YouTube sometimes.
Oh, because when you there's so many different things with the name Rundown. So if you do go on to find us on YouTube, you have to put in the Rundown show with Kayson or with Rich or with Kayson and Rich, and it'll pop up. But there's so many other things that use the name Rundown. There's a movie called The Rundown with The Rock. So many other things pop up.
It's a pretty good movie.
Never seen it.
Okay, so I'll probably catch it. It's Friday night. I got nothing to do. I'll probably catch it.
There you
go. So that's where you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter is at the Rundown. I think on Instagram it might be _. Twitter that has _. And then you can find me at KDavis75 _ and obviously you can find Rich at RichReport94.
Yeah, and congrats on your 100 subscribers. I know you guys just passed that milestone, so congrats on that. You know, building little by little, but to stay consistent. You know, I'm watching almost every time that you guys come on. I get the notification that pops up. Yeah, I gotta talk a little bit just because some of the things that you guys popping up, I'm like, especially the what was it when we right after the Nets got eliminated? I was writing the comments, just talking a little bit.
Yeah, so that made me laugh because KD's Kayson's guy, so you know Kayson's gonna ride for him every chance he gets.
I just call it how I see it, man.
Well, guys, I really do appreciate you guys coming on. Definitely gonna have you guys back on in the future. Yeah, some tales. All right, guys. So, can't thank you guys enough for watching the video. Can't thank you guys for subscribing to the channel. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe down below, as well as like the video. It definitely does help out the channel, but as well as, you know, it's free. Come on, just click real quick. But as well, no Jocko plug. I didn't forget about it. So, you saw me drink a certain drink throughout my podcast, and that is my Jocko Grill right here. So right before I actually started recording, I had cracked this bad boy open and finished it all by the time I was done. And definitely, I'm about to go to bed. That's how amazing it is. That I got enough energy to just be able to get through the conversation, just be able to keep my brain going as well as the conversation. Now I can definitely go get some rest. No jitters, no nothing, so it definitely helps out with the mental cognitive enhancement and being able to properly execute your vocal commands. And we talked a little bit about the tea in the background, so yes, I actually do have a couple of pictures of the tea brewed already up in my fridge upstairs. Perfect summertime drink. I put a little bit over ice, and I'm sitting outside just enjoying a nice summer day with a little bit of the Jocko white tea. Or in the wintertime when it's hot out, just coming in from a cold day, and basically just sit down, get a nice hot cup of tea from Jocko, and basically it's been the only tea I drink now. Have drank or drink. No, I don't speak proper English. Basically, it's the only tea I drink now, and has been the only tea I drink for the past 6 months, and definitely recommend it for everybody and anybody. As well as, of course, you already know the Jocko Milk Protein. You already know where I'm going to say that it's already the best protein on the market because it's got the 2 key ingredients for your body to fully digest things properly, which is probiotics and digestive enzymes, which that will aid in protein. See, I want to say synthesis after protein, but my brain just doesn't allow me. So basically, take it after your workout, and your body will slowly start breaking it down. The essential amino acids already packed in with Jocko Milk, along with the probiotics and along with the digestive enzymes. It's all going to be amazing stuff for your body while it's all broken down. And 10 out of 10 product. Cannot not recommend it. Thank you guys again for watching the video. And don't forget to use my code Welsh10 for 10% off your order. And don't forget also to get your Jocko down.